Hi everyone, and welcome to the Human Skills Lab. Because human skills aren't soft, they're essential. I'm Heidi Peace, an educator, and I'm so excited to be here with you.
And I'm Kobe Campbell, a school counselor and licensed clinical social worker. We're teaming up to bring you real talk about school, friendships, stress, and everything in between. Whether you're struggling with homework, feeling overwhelmed, or just looking for a little motivation, you're in the right place.
In every episode, we'll share practical tips, personal stories, and strategies you can actually use. Plus, we'll answer your questions and maybe even have some fun along the way.
So get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's figure this out together. We're so glad you're here. Just a note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. Also, our views are our own and do not reflect the views of the school district for which we work.
Our topic today is values. Today we're going to be talking about the natural and normal feelings of overwhelm that can occur when we feel that we have too many things put upon us, too many choices. How do we manage our decisions, our obligations, and what is the opportunity cost of accepting one thing over another? We're going to get real with our values today, and you can get real with your values too. We're going to choose a few of our top and then prioritize those to actually add to our to-do list without adding everything. So what are values? Values are fundamental beliefs that guide our decisions, our actions, our behaviors, and they shape the kind of person we want to be and how we interact with the world. They are principles that we hold dear and should determine what our priorities actually are.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about a values clarification exercise because in order to live your values, you need to know what they are. And the one that we chose to do ourselves is one that Brené Brown put forward both in Dare to Lead, I believe, and in her podcast. So it's called Living into Your Values, and the first thing that you do is that you identify the values that are the most important to you. There are lots of different lists of values on the internet. She has one in particular on her website, and we'll link everything in the show notes. So you might start with about 10 different values, and sometimes it's really hard. I know I have a really hard time narrowing down the values that are the most important to me, because when you look at this list, there are so many things that are so great. And one note that I will say as an aside, your actual true values versus what you think should be your values, that's a thing to be aware of, because we have all been raised, programmed, we have beliefs and perceptions about ourselves that that sometimes aren't quite who we really are. And so when you do this values clarification exercise, really thinking about, what do I truly value? Not what do I think people expect me to value, or what should I value based on my upbringing, or what is your true value for now? And one of the values that let me back up. The questions that you're going to ask yourself, does this define me? Is this who I am at my best? And is this a filter that I use to make hard decisions? So really thinking about and reflecting on your own behavior. And I think that's one thing that we will find through all of the topics that we have on this podcast, is that reflecting on your own values, beliefs, behaviors, doing the inner work, that is part and parcel of the Human Skills Lab. Those are the human skills. That inner work then informs how you carry out those human skills, how you build and develop those human skills.
Yeah, it's our foundation.
That's our foundation. And so when answering those questions for myself, and Heidi, I'll let you, after I'm done, please feel free to hop in and talk about the values that you came up with. I came up with two that were the most important to me at this particular time: wellness and growth. And so when you dig into your values, I'll use wellness as the example. One question you ask is, what are one or two behaviors that support your value? So you're looking for those things that move the needle, that make a difference for you in living that value. It makes it possible for you to live that value. Um, I had a hard time narrowing it down, so I did three. Imagine that, me not following the rules. Um, so,
Life is not a binary system, right? We don't just
right,
have two choices. So it is
right.
really hard to narrow it down. And don't give yourself too much grief because couldn't
Yeah,
narrow down
grace, right?
who
We
you
are all
are
about
into
grace.
two different categories. You are many, many different categories.
So the first behavior was sleep. I know that if I get enough sleep, that is really um, helping me with my wellness. This supports this value of wellness. So in that, I need to have a regular bedtime routine and go to bed at a reasonable hour. I also know that meditation and movement really help with wellness. So, sleep, meditation, and movement are those behaviors that really help me with um, my value of wellness. And if I'm not doing those things, I know I'm not living that value. Again, not to shame yourself, give yourself grace. There will always be times when we really feel we cannot live that value. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. How do we overcome that resistance to living our value or that obstacle to living our value? The second question you ask yourself is what are one or two slippery behaviors that are outside of your value? So, what I came up with was scrolling social media, especially before bedtime, because all of the things, all of the news, all of the inflammatory things, all of the interesting and creative things that will start my brain rolling and not allow me to get to sleep, that's not what I should be doing. That's the slippery slope for me. It's not going to allow me to be well. Even during the day, you can doom scroll, right? And that changes your mindset and your outlook and your mood and
Your
your
well-being.
productivity, your well-being and your productivity. And then the other thing is overworking. So, am I working to set myself up? Am I finishing, especially educators, counselors, anybody really, parents at work, when you're trying to get home to your kids, to your family, to the other part of your life? Am I doing those last couple of tasks so that I'll be set up well for the next day, or am I doing it for some other reason? To prove my worth, to um, prove my value to somebody else, to please somebody else, even though it's hurting me and my family, right? What is your purpose for doing that last little bit of work? So that's something I've become very aware of when I am overworking or doing those last couple of tasks. What's my purpose? Is it for me to set me up well for the next day? Or is it for some other reason that really isn't serving me? And then the third question is, what's an example of a time when you were fully living into this value? And so just really thinking about those times that you were fully living into that value, what was different? Was it a time of year? Is it a cyclical thing? There are just times that are busier than others. Is it a certain task that you're doing? So when is it that you are living into this value? It's easier for you to do that, if that makes sense. Um, she also asks, who is someone who knows your values and supports your efforts to live into them? So you're identifying your support system with this exercise as well. And then how do they support you? What does this support look like? So that you can identify and even ask for what you need to be able to live into your values from your support system, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does go into a couple of more questions. I liked the one a couple of questions down that asks, what are the early warning indicators that you are not living inside your values, so that you can become, it's that self-awareness piece, so you can become aware of what, when you're starting to slide down that slippery slope and not live your values. And then what does it feel like when you're living into your values, so that you can really identify, oh yeah, this is something, it's that motivation piece. This feels good when I'm living into my values. I feel good about myself. It creates more peace around me and my life. And it's something that I really want to keep doing. So increasing motivation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what did you come up with when you did your values clarification
Yeah.
exercise?
So first I want to review for all of our listeners, what are the steps? The first one is we need to identify what are our personal values, and there are many ways to do that. We're going to touch on the Brené Brown version today, but there are plenty of others that you could do, or sometimes you just know it already. Like you could just feel it in your body. You know what's right. You know it. One thing I like to do is to think to myself, what is irritating to me? And that will point me to what is important.
Interesting.
So if you can think about things that really get under your skin, that's something that is directly attaching to a value of yours. So the first thing is identify. The second one is identify those slippery habits that you need to bring to your intentional brain and you need to
Mhm.
make a plan. So first identify, then identify things that are tripping you up. And then what's an example or think of a time when you were fully living that value? And then identify your support system. And then what does it feel like when you are living in that value? And if you kind of do all of those things together, you can feel really happy about the choices that you're making because they are intentional choices. They aren't just the dumpster fire. They aren't just like, oh, well, which dumpster's on fire right now? Let me go attend to that. You've thought about it, you've planned, and when I say thought about it, this really doesn't take that long.
Mm-mm.
It's more of an awareness, and I can think of instances when this would be really helpful with um, whether or not you say yes or no to your children when they're asking for something, whether or not you do something for your children that they're asking you to do, because a lot of parents struggle with how much is too much. What
Mm-mm.
should I do for my kids? What should I not do for my kids? Well, if you value responsibility, maybe helping your children to become more responsible, it fits your values. If you want to be responsible for them for their entire teenage years,
Then do everything for them.
yes, then continue on. Um,
Continue on. Don't bother with us.
yes. But also there are some things that you do want to provide for your kids because it's just not they're not ready yet. They're not old enough to developmentally to handle it. So like thinking about those things. So if you identify your top values, that can help you to really feel good about the choices you're making and how you're living your life, and that you're not just rebounding from one thing to another. Okay, so for my values, I had a really hard time also narrowing them down because we are more than just a couple of parts. But I'll choose kind of some main ones. My first one is learning. So I just seek knowledge and I love to research and get new facts, and it just lights up my brain. And I also think that the things that I am learning can be directly applicable to my job and to my kids and to my husband and to anything that I'm doing for my family. And I never see learning as being wasted. It doesn't matter what I'm learning. So if there is some learning to be had, do it. And obviously, that in my life, if I want to go through it, my identify is learning, my slippery habits. Well, I'm kind of in Kobe's camp about social media because I can doom scroll instead of learning something. Why not choose a book, Heidi? Choose a book. And then fully living. Honestly, the summer is my time where I fully live as a teacher. Now, I have all the learning in school, and I do love learning in school, but it's mostly since I'm currently teaching elementary, it's stuff I already know. And I'm good about breaking things down for my students and helping them to discover their passion for learning. That is definitely my main reason for being a teacher. Um, However, I don't have the time to fully lean into my personal topics that I love. So I love having the summer for that. So my support system, I really need to fortify mine. I
Mm.
when I saw that that was one of the suggested avenues, I was like, oh yeah, I learn all by myself. But things like doing this podcast with Kobe,
Mhm.
we are learning together, we're talking
Yes, we are.
together, we're bouncing ideas off of each other. Like it's really beneficial for me to have this as a social outlet as well.
Mhm.
So I do think that that's probably my next step is to fortify that system. And then what does it feel like when I've learned something new? And then, well, it can feel as great as having like a medical issue and you figure out how to help yourself when the doctors couldn't help you. Like it could be that life changing.
Mhm.
It could be knowing how to help your child that has an upset tummy, you know, without them having to suffer. So there, those learning instances can translate to real life events. And
Yeah.
so I think that's my first value. And so when I'm getting asked questions, or should I do this or should I do that, I run it past this.
I think
It's
another
a,
interesting thing
yeah.
that you can connect with the value of learning is that it is a frame by which through which you can see difficult events as well. So when you're struggling
Yes.
and
Oh, I love that.
overwhelmed and you're trying to figure out what to do, that fits the value of learning. So we're not saying that living your values is going to be all, rainbows and sunshine, right? It's that you can say to yourself, did I show up in my values? And you can feel good about that, even though it was hard. It's not that it's all going to be easy, it's that you're going to feel good and grounded in, I did what was right for me and I lived my own values.
Yeah.
And
It
I
can
think
be
that's really
easy.
particularly important when you talk about on school campuses, the amount of things that people are
Right.
asked to do, regardless of their role. Being able to sift through, and we'll get to prioritization in probably our next episode, but being able to sift through and figure out what is negotiable and what's non-negotiable and how to do the both of them, the negotiable and the non-negotiable, through the lens of your values. Maybe the non-negotiable or the negotiable ones you let go of something because it doesn't fit a value. But I think that through the lens of learning, you can look at difficult situations through the lens of your values and figure out what to do. And they can help you reframe the situation to be a little bit more, to feel a little bit more manageable. It can feel empowering because you are living through your values, even though it's a difficult situation.
I love that you add that. I think that it can be easy or there can be learning.
And
So,
sometimes, but
so either way you
mostly,
win, right? It's a win-win.
yeah,
If that's what you value and that you understand that when it doesn't go well the first time, like that's an opportunity of sorts.
it is an opportunity of sorts.
Doesn't
And
always feel great.
you have a choice how you look at it, right? You always have a choice of how you look at it. So if you are looking at, let's say, maybe let's look at a couple of other values that we
Yeah, I
could.
have a second value, and
Yeah, go ahead.
I've heard from your first one. So let's go to your second one. What's your
Okay.
second one?
So my second one is growth. Um, and so when you look at, so I identified growth as the value I wanted to um, deal with or live. And the first criteria, what are one or two behaviors that support your value? Um, so taking advantage of opportunities to learn, both formal and informal. So that can be the lens through which I look at difficult situations. This is helping me grow and really looking at as a growth opportunity, something that's happening for me rather than to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets really tricky because I know some situations are super difficult, and you're like, Kobe, for me rather than to me. Really? Like, are you going to go there? But if you can make a mindset shift, I think a lot of things have to do with mindset shifts. Our suffering has to do with mindset shifts. We can choose that we are going to see things a certain way and suffer, or we can shift it slightly and suffer less. I give an analogy of, so back during the pandemic, there was a whole lot of positive thinking trying to go on, and nobody was having it. And rightly so. So I kind of came up with this analogy of negative thinking is in the basement. And so if you're in the basement, you want to pick a thought that's maybe a neutral thought, not a positive thought, just something to get your feet under you on the ground floor. And that might be something like, in this moment right now, I'm safe and okay, particularly during the pandemic. But then to get to the second floor, you might want to choose something that's a little more positive and hopeful, right? But the idea being you don't have to think positively, you just have to reach for that next better thing that will allow you to add the next better thought, feeling, attitude, belief, perception that will allow you to access a strategy to feel better. Because sometimes we are in the basement and nobody's going to say you have to, it's all rainbows and butterflies when you're in the basement. Um,
Right.
so taking advantage of those growth opportunities, whether they're professional learning opportunities, whether they're growing situations that are difficult, but really leaning into this as a growth opportunity. And that's okay. This is happening for me, not to me. Reflecting on and journaling on my actions, the situation, my thoughts, my beliefs. When I reflect and journal, sometimes things will come out and I'm like, meh, I don't know that I really feel that way. Or sometimes they'll come out and I'll go, oh, I didn't know I felt that way. This gives me something else to work with, to use, to do, to grow. Um, when I think about growth, one or two slippery behaviors, judgment or blame of myself or others, does not allow me to grow. That keeps me stuck in either victimhood or anger and frustration, and it makes it much harder to grow. So that's a slippery behavior for me. Another one is having to be the knower of everything. Sometimes, as experts, right?
Yeah.
Experts, we feel like we have to know everything, and it's like, no, but that's what a career is for, right? That's what growth is for.
Yeah. And sometimes
You
we feel expected to know it all too.
right,
Like
and
you
you
are
know
the
what?
giver of knowledge, so you must know everything.
Right, I will tell you all right now, we don't. We don't. We're learning here, right? And hopefully you're learning with us. But no, I think that's being human. That's why it's the Human Skills Lab. As a human, you are trying things out and experimenting and learning and growing every single day. Even my mother, who is 87 years old, learning and growing every day. Let's see, an example of a time when I was fully living into this value. Um, Difficult situations where I considered all viewpoints. Sometimes we get entrenched in I am right, they are wrong, and that gets nobody anywhere. It gets us a whole lot of frustration and anger and stress and suffering. But when I was able to consider all viewpoints and understand where they were coming from, or just the fact that they were coming from somewhere else, because we are all operating from our own lenses, from our own upbringings and backgrounds and experiences and beliefs we've developed about ourselves and others because of all of our experiences. So I'll give the example of I will see a dog and I will run up and I will want to pet the dog and great, we have a dog. This is amazing, so cute. And then somebody who's had a bad experience with the dog will come up and will not come up and will not want to have anything to do with the dog because they have had a different experience than me. And I can't say to them, why do you not want to pet this dog?
Right.
This is an amazing dog. Because of their experience. So when I consider all viewpoints, it allows me to grow
Mm.
better and more easily. And it makes the whole situation easier to resolve in general. Um, in terms of that value, I think most of the people around me, definitely my family, understand that I need to learn, I need to grow, I will always be striving to find um, a different and better way for myself. Um, and from them, it looks like encouragement and permission. Like they know that that's a part of my life. So we've had conversations about in order for me to do this, there's this that I have to let go of. And we'll get a little bit more into that in the prioritization episode. But just encouragement and permission to follow that. To be gone for 2 days for a conference or to hole up in the office for, a couple of weekends because I'm, doing another credential program or I'm renewing a license or, um, stuff like that. So, and what it feels like is energizing for me when I'm living into that value. It's energizing to me because um, I don't want to be stuck in victimhood. I don't want to be stuck in um, frustration. It doesn't feel good.
And when you
So part of the way out of that is learning and growing.
and when you have those, I want to say, who doesn't want more energy? When you're
Daily.
stuck, when you're stuck with not enough motivation, if you can start with that, I want to feel energized. Here is a path.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you lose sight of that. You lose sight of like it just feels too big. So
Yeah.
take it down to its smallest part and go, okay, what is the smallest thing I can do right now? So say you were having a low energy day.
Hmm.
What's one thing you might do to put yourself on the path to feeling that energy? Like, what is the smallest step you can take for that day? Like,
I
say
think
this
the
is a
small,
day that's busy, you have no
yeah.
time, you have so many demands, you barely get a lunch break, if any. Like, what can you do on that day?
So I think it all starts for me with evaluation, sitting and asking, what do I really need today? What what do I need to live into this value? Um, and even when we're thinking about growth, rest
Mm.
is a valid path to growth. Because for me, um, pleasing all the people by doing all of the things is not healthy. That's not living into this value of growth or wellness, those two top values for me. So, considering what can I say no to today?
Oh, I like that.
What
Yes.
can I say no to? What can I do just good enough? Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to look good. Pinterest is not interested in what I'm doing right now. Um, right? What can does it just need to get done? Does it need to get done at all? So that evaluation piece, what do I need and what can I let go of? Right?
I love it. I love it. I'm
If,
thinking of things I could let go of. And then also for me, that question is, am I putting this on myself?
mm,
Or is this coming from an external place that I can't do anything about? So, and then if it's coming from an external place that I can't do anything about now, what step can I take to get out from under this in 2 months?
right,
In 2 weeks? Like, is there one step I can do? So I think that identification or evaluation is a really important step because it will point you in the right direction.
yeah,
And then you can identify, is this an internal problem? My standards are too high for today,
yeah.
um, which is usually something that I think both of
It's
us
easy to
run
fall into
into.
that trap,
Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as educators, I mean, any driven
Any
working
human.
professional, it's easy to fall into that trap, yeah. But
Um,
then, if it is something you have to power through, it's a non-negotiable. Somebody else put it on your plate. You can't get it off your plate. Um, at the end of that, what is the smallest thing that I can do to live into this value of whatever that value is? For me, growth or wellness, either one. The growth, if I were trying to live into the value of growth, I might go to, is this a situation where I need to have a hard conversation with somebody and that's going to be difficult for me and it's going to cause me to grow?
right.
Or for wellness, after I'm done doing this thing I don't want to do and it's hard to do or I have to do.
Like exercise.
What is, well, but even with that, so if we're talking about wellness, exercise, ugh. So
Uh,
what's the smallest thing that you can do,
right.
right? Throw on the shoes, go around the block. Or get on the treadmill for 10 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, 1 minute. Because I think, yeah, one of the things we were talking about in preparation for the episode was atomic habits and the idea that the smallest thing that you can do, you reduce the barriers to doing the thing. And you do the smallest thing until your momentum grows because that develops your identity as a person who does the thing, right? So for me, it was my vacation, camping vacation every morning. I walked for as far as the tides would let me because we were camping
Mm.
at the beach and back, and it ended up being an hour plus. Just because I wanted to do that, it felt good for my body. Well, when I got home, I'm like, oh, I got to keep walking because I am now a person who
Who
takes long
walks?
walks and I
Yeah.
have the time to do so. So that has been going for a month since I got back. Um, Less than a month, but since I got back, whatever time that is, because that developed the habit of every single day I lace up my shoes and I go out for a long walk. The walks are shorter right now because I'm a little busier, but I go for a walk every day. That's what I do because that habit has been built, and it's been over a month since I've done that sort of thing. So, um,
All
we
right.
are
So
almost,
yeah. So I have my last value to talk about, and I want to go
yes.
through and make sure our audience really understands the basically 5 steps, because these are not infinite steps and they will really help. Even if you could just take the first step,
Hmm.
that will point you in the right direction. So it's not like, oh, I didn't finish all the steps, I'm a loser. Like I didn't get this. No, it's start with the identify. And so if you can just do that, then it's in the back of your mind when people are asking you to do things and asking you to
Hmm.
make choices and asking you to use your time and your talents for things. And you need to decide, should I do this? Should I not do this? Is there an alternative to maybe what their request is that still gets the job done? Anyway, all of that will become easier to you once you've identified your value.
Can I also interject? Put it
Yeah.
someplace visible.
Yeah.
Get on Canva, create something pretty, put it as a background on your phone,
Oh, I love that
or
idea.
yeah,
I
stick it on a
can.
sticky note on your mirror.
Yeah.
Keep your values in your vision
Ooh. Okay.
because then it's easier to live them.
I'm gonna come up with something too. I love the Canva idea because it's already pre-designed for those design challenge people out there. Um, Sometimes myself. I like to do art and take pictures, so I could put one on one of my
Mhm.
images, and that would probably speak to me. Great
Yeah.
idea. Okay, so my second one is connection. And I really want to feel, I really feel strongly about this one because I feel like in today's society that it is getting harder to connect.
Yeah.
Most people are starting their relationships on an app, not in
Hmm.
real life. The loneliness epidemic is so bad. It is creating health factors equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Connection is a real issue for a lot of people. And for me, I toggle between loving my alone researching time, but also needing tons of social activities. I know that that's near and dear to my heart and has always been because I had a desk job before I became a teacher where I would sit in a cubicle and write reports and research. And I'm like, yes, I like research. Yes, I like to do these things, but I was missing the people.
Yeah.
So I am almost immediately I knew. I was like, ooh, not enough people here. I need to find my people.
Yeah.
So connection is what to me is it's building meaningful relationships,
Mhm.
using your empathy skills, respect, and communication. And all of these things you want for yourself too. And I think
Mhm.
they're becoming harder to find. I think people are not just running into each other randomly anymore.
Yeah.
It's all planned. And
Hmm.
one of my kids said it best. They're like, yeah, why do we have to plan so far in advance? Why do you? It took me like, in order to get my friendship activities underway, it takes me like hours of texting to get
Yeah.
organized, to choose a date. Oh, well, that date won't work anymore. Okay, well, let's choose this one. And I'm sitting
I
here
have
going,
a whole lot of thoughts and feelings about why that
yeah,
happens, but that's a whole other episode.
yeah, but I know I value it.
Yeah.
So so that's my first step. My second step is the slippery habit. The slippery habit is when I start working in the school year, I stop reaching out.
Yeah.
So that is my slippery habit. It's not something I'm doing, it's something I'm not doing. So I
Yeah.
need to put it on my calendar every day in a little checkbox. Did I reach out to 5 people? So that is how I'm handling keeping in touch with the people I want to keep in touch with. And I've
Yeah.
written a list of like my top people that I really think I want to spend the energy, even though it's hard to schedule things and it's
Hmm.
booked months out. It's like worse than going to the eye doctor. Okay. Um, Fully living. I fully live in the summer, like almost, especially my kids are home right now. Once they get too old to be at home, it'll be a lot harder for me. So I'm already preparing. I'm like, okay, I need to have my friend groups mobilize. I need to go take these adult school classes, maybe gardening, pottery, who knows. Like I have like ideas because I'm like I can't
Yeah.
just sit around.
That's a transition. That's a
It
big
is.
transition when the kiddos are running around by themselves and you're
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah, it is. So, and the support system. Well, I think the support system needs fortification as well because, well, that is the issue is you don't just run into your friends anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's so busy. It's just this culture of busyness. And I want to find my little corners of time when I can stop that and just connect honestly with people. So I
Well, I
need to.
wonder too, sorry for interrupting, I wonder too, the fully living part, for those of us who are working during the school year and off during the summers, I think it's important to figure out how you fully live that during the school year because I know I struggle with the wellness one during the school year a lot. Like exercise out the window during
Right,
the school year. Yet I know that that's going to make me a better counselor, a better
right.
human, a better mom, a better wife. So, how do we fully live? And I think we'll get to that more next episode in terms of how do you like prioritizing these. But I just wanted to note it is so much easier. Summer Kobe is so much more relaxed and, has wellness on lock. School year Kobe, not so much. So, that's where the test really happens, right?
Yep.
So, anyway, I
So
didn't,
we need
yeah,
systems like the checkbox, like
yeah,
every day. Did you reach out to five people? They don't have to respond. You don't have control
yeah.
over them. Also,
It's about what you're
delineating what
doing.
you have control over, your circle of control, right?
Yeah.
We have control over what you don't. So I have control to reach out to five people. And then I can get that little dopamine boost from checking the checkbox. Oh, yeah, I did it today.
Ooh.
Good for me. I'm a person that is friendly and there for my friends and checks in with them.
Yeah.
Like, it feels good to be that person. Um, so, what does it feel like? It feels connection really has no other equivalent to me.
Hmm.
It is a need, fundamentally, like food or water. And the feeling to have it is the feeling of closeness and care and ultimate wellness, I think.
Yeah.
Because you can feel better even when you're sick if you have your people around you.
Yeah, if you feel cared for.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for sharing your values, Kobe, and coming up with that quick 5-step um, guideline for us.
I don't think it has to be as overwhelming as we think it is. Like I don't have time to clarify my values. I think just taking a minute or two to check over a list, like 30 seconds to check over a list and check off 5 or 10 that really speak to you, come back to it the next morning. A couple of minutes to narrow it down to 5. It doesn't have to be all at once. It doesn't have to be complicated. Pick one. Decide you're going to live that value for the day. See how it went. That's why it's the Human Skills Lab. We try stuff out. If it, doesn't work, we tweak it. If it works, we keep it. So hopefully you got something from today, something useful from our values clarification exercise.
Yep. Keep experimenting and know that these social emotional skills are really important to us as humans.
Yes, and give yourself grace when things don't go the way that you want them to. I think we're big on grace because oftentimes we're doing our best and it's not giving us the results
Hmm.
that we want. But that's where you go back to those teeny tiny incremental changes, and over time, you will see results that you can feel good about.